I can't wait to break it down with our political panel. In fact, let's start right now. We're joined today by Tyler O'Neill. He's a managing editor for the Daily Signal and author of the, whoa, this is awesome, Woketopus. That's actually pretty good. I like that. So we have to cut off the tentacles, right? And also joining us is Lee Nevis. He's a Democratic strategist. Welcome to First Edition.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Good morning. So we're taking a look at the National Prayer Breakfast live here. It's going to happen any minute now. And we are expecting President Donald Trump to come out and address those in attendance. Lee, what do you expect to hear from President Trump today at this breakfast, which is really a unifying event?
I would expect President Trump to probably stay on message and talk about how he's bigly winning and doing really, really awesome, because that is the Trump brand. I mean, if there's anything over the past 3 weeks we've learned, is that President Trump is the one person in America who thinks he's, more than anyone else, thinks he's like super bigly and super awesome.
Well, Tyler, I think President Trump is going to talk about how he prayed to God to get rid of Woketopus, right? Because it's strangling all of us.
Yes. Yeah, I think that President Trump has started his new administration going after the main woke forces that had pushed the Biden administration. We all saw, what Biden was like during that first debate with President Trump, that the Democratic Party decided they had to push him out of power. And that moment showed more than any other moment how the real power in Washington didn't reside behind the Resolute desk with President Biden, that Biden was more or less a figurehead. My book explains the forces that were really pushing, calling the shots behind the scenes. President Trump has been doing an excellent job at undermining that influence campaign, most recently by freezing foreign aid and by going after USAID. The president has deprived George Soros of one of his biggest international partners in his big funding mission. So I do think that Trump is going to talk about winning, and I think he has many grounds to do so.
Right. Well, I also think he's going to talk about this, Lee. Trump has been in touch with his fate since the assassination attempt on his life over the summer, and faith has been very important. But we cannot forget this moment just after his inauguration.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Lee, is this a moment for President Trump to regain the narrative with respect to his faith?
It is. It is the moment that he can try to regain the narrative, but if anything has proven over the past 3 weeks is that Trump is going to Trump. And I take you to the press conference after that horrific plane crash in the Potomac over there at Reagan National. Instead of just talking about the victims and the victims' families and this loss of life, he went on a massive attack against Biden, against Obama. And look, if he feels that way, he feels that way. But there's a time and a place for things. That was not the time. That was not the place. So while, yes, this National Prayer Breakfast would be a great opportunity for Trump to regain the narrative on his faith, do I think he's going to do it? No, I think he is. Like I said earlier, Trump is going to Trump in this case.
Well, he's going to Trump for the next 4 years. You could bank on that. And Democrats are up in arms about Elon Musk's involvement in government efficiency. Take a listen.
President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here. And for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that rhetoric.
Somebody turned the lights on. That's exactly what Elon Musk did, Tyler. But should Americans or the left
Elon
be
Musk
surprised?
Is bringing accountability. He's rooting out federal waste and abuse. And I think USAID is the #1 example of this. I mean, it's also interesting that many of these Democrats who scream to high heaven about billionaires taking over our government have been silent about George Soros and the Open Society Foundations and the massive influence campaign they've had. I mean, I had an article out at the end of last year talking about the left's Project 2025, which has been going on far longer than the right had anything to do with that sort of idea. And this vast influence campaign that the left has been pushing, that I expose in my book, really is the answer to all of their fear-mongering about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is coming in to advise, to help root out federal waste and abuse, and that is long overdue. And that's exactly the opposite of what the left's influence campaign has been doing, which is increasing the size of government, increasing the scope of government, and trying to turn it into this whole of society approach that is often rooted at getting rid of the opposition and silencing any dissent.
Yes.